Hello, 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 and welcome to We've Got Issues. It is your friends who are back to discuss the latest topics of discussion amongst our small group of friends and topics that we hope will be of interest to you. My name is Nick Cates. I'm here, as always, with my friends of over 40 years, Ron Evans.
Hey, hey.
And Darren Gray.
What up?
As I said, we met more than 40 years ago back at USC, and every week we try and illuminate some of the topics that may have come up in our text thread or just things that we've encountered that we think are worthy of attention. And so we invite you to give your comments and feedback. And today we have a very, very special guest, another one of our friends. We promised that we'd always have friends of ours because we do have a very diverse and eclectic and accomplished set of friends. And we've had a lot of male energy. And today we're bringing in one of our really dear friends to provide some female perspective and her ideas about what we're going to talk about. So everybody, please welcome our yes.
So happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Yeah. So, we, as I said, the three of us, Ron, Darren, and I met back in college, and Ella has been friends of ours since that time as well. So Ella, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you do, so they know a little bit about you.
So I'm a Southern California native, and I know all of them because one of their other friends who went to USC is Greg, and Greg and I went to junior high school together. And so I was one of the people who always had parties. And so when Greg was at USC, he would bring all his friends over to my house where I met Nick, Darren, and Ron. Mm-hmm. And we have been friends ever since. And so it's been 40 plus years of a fabulous friendship. Mm-hmm. I still live in Southern California, and I'm a general contractor, so I build things. And I just look forward. I'm humbled to be a part of this. We were together this weekend. And I was saying to somebody that I read Dear Abby, and in Dear Abby in the LA Times, basically they changed it from a man to a woman. And so when it was a woman, I kind of got it. But then when it was a man, I was like, oh my God, his perspective is so different. And then I was like, oh, it would be great if we had both men and women. I mean, it was at that moment where I thought it would be a great thing for both men and women to give their commentary because we have such different perspectives. And then I learned about this and I was like, hey, I want to be a part. And so I'm happy to be here to join you guys today. So thank you.
Yes. Happy to have you. So as I said, So as I said, each week, one of us is going to pilot us to where the topic of the week is going to be. And today it is our good friend Ron, who's going to step forward and tell us what's on his mind. What's going on?
Well, I will. But before I do, I just want to say that, Ella, it is such a joy to see you. And I think what is even nicer is people will see, not only do we have some smart guys, we got some cold-blooded smart women too. So not to prop you up, but it's like it's just such a joy to hear everyone's thoughts. My topic is one that's both personal and relevant to a lot of people of our age group, and that's the sandwich generation. And for people watching that aren't familiar with the sandwich generation, there's a clip. Nick, do you have that clip?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Speaking of family, with an aging population, there are also some additional changes we need to think about. Family. There's the sandwich generation. I can't tell you how many of my friends, especially my younger friends, are raising not only their children, but they're also raising their parents. So you have 3 or 4 generations living together in a household, in a family.
So the challenge that that we have is we have a generation where, if you think of the husband, the wife, the middle couple or the middle people in the age of 40 to 60, we are sandwiched between younger children as well as aging parents. And then the younger children, it could be actually in primary school, college, or you're just providing for them after college for whatever reason. But there's the two slices of bread, the aging parents and the younger people. And the challenge there and the trap that we have to avoid is what we really are seeing is not only a tremendous suck of energy away from us and our generation to help the kids and to help the aging parents, but we're also seeing a wealth transfer because you're helping with your limited resources, helping down and also helping potentially up. And what that does is it creates a generational transfer where people are like, well, now I don't have money to live on in retirement. So now I need to go stay with my children, potentially. And the cycle continues. So I would postulate that there are three things we need to think about, as we come to grips with the sandwich generation. The first one is your first obligation is to yourself. Okay. If you don't have money and if you can't pay your bills, you're no good to anybody else. Okay. So you need to be able to make sure that you can take care of yourself as well as take care of your retirement, because if not, you're going to repeat the cycle. The second one is after that's taken care of, you do have an obligation to your children. You brought them into the world. If you have the means to help them, help them. And then the third one is if both of those two bases are covered, then there's your parents, but your parents are grown. They are older than we are. And they made decisions that got them to where they are. And it's difficult for you to have to then be able to provide for them because of the decisions and outcomes they made in their life. So the whole goal is to break this intergenerational dependency and be able to take care of yourself and make sure that you and your spouse or you yourself are able to have a retirement and break those chains so it doesn't have to rinse and repeat.
So Ron, you're actually going through this. This isn't like an existential issue, right?
No.
So, talk a little bit more about how you're navigating it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we have two kids. The oldest one has launched and she's good to go. Our second is going to be entering her senior year. So she's, got a couple more years for us to keep eyes on her and help her launch. But at the other end of the spectrum, we have my mother-in-law living with us. And that is the result of a lifetime of decisions that led to this. And it's difficult because what you have is when you have someone that is not part of your nuclear family, everything is hard. You have to plan differently for vacations, for going out to dinner. You have these pressures on you that didn't exist before. And now that burden is on you and your spouse, because they need you. And you've got to be able to compartmentalize that so you're able to at least enjoy your life, Darren. So at least, I can stay an 8 and not go down to a 6 or a 4.
And that's on the happiness scale. If you didn't see our episode about the happiness scale, the Cantrell ladder that Ron brought up in a previous episode, refer to that and to evaluate where you stand on the happiness scale and how this issue is maybe causing some drag, bringing him down a rung or two on the ladder. So yeah. Ella, you're new to to this conversation. So do you have any immediate thoughts based on what you've heard about this topic?
So the impression that I got from what you said, Ron, was that, well, I'll just say when my daughter came home from graduate school, I welcomed her to come back to the house for a couple of reasons. One is because, I lived alone. Two, Southern California is expensive. And I thought that it would be a place that she could come here and save money and then venture off. And I just thought it was easier and before I moved to my current house, I transitioned to my mother's house for a period of time. And I was excited about that, actually. I was excited because I lived in a place by myself and I had all of the responsibilities to do everything. Now it was like a community type thing where we could share the responsibilities. And so then I didn't have to spend as much money as I did by myself. And so that was the thought that I had for my daughter, because I had the space, and I just welcomed the thought that, we could live together and I could help you and you could help me.
Mm-hmm.
So on that level, now it didn't necessarily work out that way because, personalities are different, and COVID came and the house got really small. And so, we had to make a decision, that maybe you need to get your own place. But I'm I think, what do we do with our aging parents? I mean, my mother's 87 and she lives with my brothers, and I think she's independent by herself. Like, they don't think about her as it relates to their life, but that's one of the things as we age is when it comes to our parents, it's like we have to be there to support them. And how we do that. What do we do? Do we let them stay in a house and they can't take care of the house? They can't afford the house. Well, I won't say afford, more or less take care of, and, they need assistance. And so, that's one of the things when I think about like dating is, you either have a man who's taking care of a kid, or you have a man that's taking care of his mother, or his parent. And so it's something that is a part of you, because as we age and your parents need you, you go from one transition from taking care of your kids, now you're taking care of your parents. So it's just something that is part of the evolution of life. That's the way that I feel about it.
Wow, Ella's is bringing like new doors to open. Dating men that are taking care of their parents or their children.
Oh, you don't even, because you're married. You've been married. It's either one or the other. It's like, and the priority, when you are a man, the priority should always be your kids. And then like men have an affection for their mother, as we all should, I'm not necessarily saying we do, but, then it's like, I have to take care of my mother. So, you have to balance all of that. And in a relationship, you want to, if you're the female, you want to be number one. And sometimes it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. It's, and that's another perspective that you bring, Ella. Not only are you a woman navigating in the world, but you are a single woman with a adult child. The three of us are married, right?
Yes.
And so our experience of the world as it relates to this topic in particular is very different than yours. And yes. Darren, you have I don't know if this topic affects you from the top side.
It does. So, last week I was in Michigan, helping my mom. She lives by herself. She's 86 years old. I was helping my mom. One thing that I remember is growing up, it wasn't about the nuclear family. It was more about the extended family. But then things sort of shifted. But, if it were just a sandwich, I would be happy. But I got like a Big Mac combo going on because I got, helping my mom and helping my sibs, helping my children, helping my grandchildren, my nieces, my nephew. If it were just a sandwich, I'd be happy. But I got a Big Mac combo going on. I just had a conversation with my sister yesterday about helping her move back home with my mom and me financing the move. So, I mean, it's for my mom's benefit, but, I got to pay for her to move from the East Coast back to Michigan.
Why is that your responsibility?
Because if I don't, she can't go. And it's my mom, it's like we were talking about over the weekend. I'm very mission focused. Like, what's the mission? The mission is for somebody to be there to take care of my mom because I can't keep flying back every week. I ran the number.
You said it was your sister, right?
Yeah, my sister, yeah.
So isn't it her mom too?
But she ain't got no money, so. So what am I going to do? If she can't afford to move, then she can't afford to move. And then there's nobody there to take care of my mom.
Will your sister take care of her if you get her back to Michigan? Will your sister take care of her?
Yeah, that's the whole plan. She's moving from there. And then just sort of an aside, in the same conversation, her daughter, my niece, was asking, if I could help pay her rent.
Oh my God.
Where does the spigot turn off for you? I mean,
well,
can I ask, you'll pay my rent? I mean,
right? Is there a line that I should say?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is it? Okay, because I want somebody to pay my rent.
But the thing is, but in that same conversation, it was a whole thing about, since my mom is leaving, I need a place to stay, and I don't really want to go back because I like it here on the East Coast. So, is there anything you can do? And I was like, nah, man, I gotta pay for your mom to go back to Michigan. I can't do both. And the priority, the mission is I need somebody there with my mother.
Okay, so you're right. This is a sandwich with a salad on the side.
This is a combo, man.
You get the fries and the shake.
Yeah, I want to pull on what Ella was asking. Your niece, for some reason, felt comfortable saying, putting her hand out, saying, "I need money." What did you?
My grandnephew sent me a text saying he wanted $5,000 because he knocked up his girlfriend.
Are you serious?
Was that a door prize for doing it? Maybe I should go knock somebody up and ask you for money.
Real talk. Your grandnephew texted you saying, "I'm in a bind. I need $5,000."
Yes, he did.
What have you done to become the Bank of Darren?
I've not done anything except for succeed, and people have this perception. And it's all, like I was saying, like my nieces, my nephews, my sibs, there's this perception that, if you win the lotto, then you got to share. So it's just that perception, which goes back to Ella, the 4 on the Cantrell.
Again, Darren, in that Cantrell ladder episode, Darren revealed that he was a 4 out of 10. And so you're seeing some of the pressures that have taken them down a few rungs. So if you haven't seen that episode, it's well worth a watch. But it's interesting because when you think of the sandwich generation, you really do think about the immediate family. But family dynamics are much more, as Darren is showing, much more diverse. You can imagine Darren, who has had some success in his life, and you imagine anybody of any level of fame that has been successful in their life and the familial pressures that are probably on them from people that they may not have ever met that are saying their family that need this or that. So, it goes beyond buying mama a house or whatever. But it's real. And this gives me an appreciation that I hadn't had, because I'll be honest, I think I hit the lotto when it comes to that this particular issue, right? Because my stepson is grown and well provided for. He has autism, as you guys know, but he's well provided for, separate and apart from anything that I have to do, really. And my mom is completely independent and self-sufficient and has no financial needs or whatever. So that pressure, is virtually non-existent for me, thank God. But I understand, how that can manifest in life,
So you are spot on, because you have absolutely won the lottery, because there's you and there's our little friend from SC that's my baby play sister. Mm-hmm. And her mom is she was a principal and invested in real estate. She did well, okay, and she's living independent. And for people like my little sister, and for you, we aspire. We wish we could go over and say, can our parents' generation do that? Because the gift that they gave you is, I took care of myself. Now, obviously, if I fall and break a hip or whatever, or I, whatever, but I lived a life maybe modestly, to be able to say that I will be able to provide for myself when I'm later in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a blessing. And it comes back to, that's what our generation has to do, is do the same, so we are not a burden on our children.
And you know, in terms of my mom, she actually did that. But what pulled on her were some of my sibs who made some poor choices. And in bailing them out, my mom got into trouble. And I had to bail her out to get her back on a solid footing because she was so busy trying to take care of, you know,
Mhm.
some of my sibs and, you know, her grandkids and great grandkids. And so, you know, I'm her stopgap because she gave up so much. You know, Ella was talking about the other day about being a parent and giving everything. Well, my mom gave everything plus. So, you know, I'm 100% in, you know, her camp. You know, anything she needs, I'm there. You need me to fly back to talk to the roofer? I'm there. So, but because she gave so much, it put her in a bad situation for some time. And, you know, I have to be there to make sure that she's good.
As a single woman, what he said, those are things that I take in consideration. Because if a man is spending that much energy, time, resources on their mother, then that means that there's less for me. And so understanding that, you know, when you are the female, when you are the woman, so to speak, where is all his time divided? Because there is a sense of loyalty and commitment, and you want that directed towards you. And so you don't, it's not like a competition. It is a competition. And so you just have to be aware of that. And those are things that are important, you know, when I go out there and look for a relationship.
All right, Ella, again, yeah, I've been out of the game since my 20s. So I'm going to ask a dumb question. But why wouldn't you look at that and say, you know what? That's a man that cares for his mother. He's going to care for me too. He's going to be, you know, he's going to care about me just as much because he loves women. He loves his mother.
That's a point well taken. I do. But there's only so much time in the day. There's only so many resources. And if you have limited resources, then how are you spreading those resources? And it can't be a competition. Like, I wouldn't date a man like when I, you know, 10, 20 years ago that had kids. Why? Because on Saturdays and Sundays, he's doing activities. And so you want him to be involved in his kid's life. You don't want to feel like, don't do that because I want to do this. And so you realize that. And so that's, you just go for people that don't have those obligations. And as we age, that is something that is real about our parents, is that we have to, if we're able to, give them what they need in order to survive. Like I wouldn't mind for my mother to live with me, but the house that I live in is not conducive because she has mobility issues. She can't walk up and down. I have, you know, multiple stairs in my house. So I wouldn't feel comfortable having her here and wondering if she's going to fall down and hurt herself. And so, but I feel like that's my mother, and I want to help her as much as I can while I can and while she's here.
You know, to your point, Ella, about, you know, men and relationships that, you know, where men are in the sandwich generation, I am surprised that your experience has been that there are so many men out there that are actually caretakers for both their children and their parents. I think of the women in the lives of these parents being much more the caretaker side, right? Particularly if they're single. So, but the fact that there are, you know, men out there, Black men in particular, who are doing both is both, I'm sure, a frustration, but also admirable that there are, you know, men out there that have to play both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Caretaking can take many forms. It doesn't have to be the physical caretaking. So, like with my mom, I'm not her physical caretaker. I'm just the one that she,
right,
the bank.
The bank,
right.
And even for like with my grandkids, you know, being, you know, making sure that, you know, that my wife can take care of them, because she's been off of work for 2.5 years taking care of them. And, you know, there's a cost to that. Like I have to bear that cost. And so, you know, it's not necessarily the physical caretaking. I don't have to, you know, pick up my grandkids every day. I just have to be able to provide so that she can.
Do you feel like you at all fall like in a danger zone like your mom did, where she gave so much that when she got to the stage where she should be able to coast in, that her resources were depleted, where you and Alex have to, Alex being your, I'm sorry, where you and your wife have to be concerned for your own well-being, because Ron's initial point was your obligation is to yourself first, then to your children, and then to your parent. Like, how do you guys
well, going back to being mission focused, that's part of the mission. It all gets rolled up into the same mission, which is I need to ensure that I can care for myself. I've got a good retirement plan. You know, I'm set, and I don't go beyond whatever I allocate for that. Now, I don't get to go to the Coliseum, perhaps, every year or Dubai, but I can, if I want to, go and do other things. I just have to make different choices. And so part of it is ensuring that I'm okay and can, leave some wealth to transfer, to my children, but also doing what I can while I'm still here. One of my donors for my job talks about, giving while living. And so part of what I do is giving while living, and still also being able to transfer some wealth, upon my demise.
Well, be it Dubai or Rome, you first would have to decide to leave the United States. So we're not going to hold our breath on that. But I do think you talk about the mission, but the first mission is to protect the homeland while you're helping fight wars in distant lands. Yes. And the distant lands are your nieces, nephews, your mother, all the people that are not you and you and your wife, because that's the homeland. And you guys are stuck together through the rest of this life. All those other people, they're not. But if you are giving your resources away to help the sandwiches and the salad and the croutons and everyone on the side, you've already talked about how you're worried about economic situations that could deplete your wealth. You're depleting your wealth on your own.
Yeah, true. To some degree, the surpluses that I would like to have are not there because I have to sacrifice for that. But the core, the numbers are still there. Whereas even if I continue at the rate that I'm continuing, I'll be fine, through at least 100, God willing, I live that long. My 101st birthday, I might be living in the tent, but, but through 100, I'm good. I'm good, even at the current levels of support.
Bless you, Darren.
Yeah.
Much more generous than I am.
I think it all does get down to, decisions. There's self-preservation, and then there's the preservation of those who we love and want to see do well as well. So it's a great topic, Ron. It's a great thing to consider that we all need to be aware of. And if you guys out there have some experiences with this or have some thoughts about how you're navigating the sandwich generation period of your lives, if you're at that stage of your life, we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on what we've said and just your experiences to share with other people as well. So again, we hope you'll like and subscribe to our channel, and you'll engage with us via comment. So before we get out of here, Ron, let's
go ahead,
Ellen. Go ahead.
So Ron, the way that it comes across, you're not really happy with your situation.
I've gone from a 9 down to an 8. No, of course not.
So why? I mean, because you have a big space. What about it don't you like? Or is it just the added person that you have to now, like you said, become part of
the decision making?
So I'm going to try to make this quick. We saw this train wreck coming when we were still living in LA 28 years ago. We even commented on, if things don't change, y'all gonna be living with us one day. And things didn't change. And when someone is like doing bad things and making bad decisions, and you see it coming, and then it happens, and then you are the safety net. It it's upsetting.
Okay.
And then the other part of it is it's okay to say, and I got to caution you, Ella, about this, and I want to make sure you hear what I say. It's okay on one level to say somebody's going to live with me, okay?
Yeah.
But that person is going to be at the kitchen table every morning, at the dinner table every night. They're going to be talking about, what's the health of your kitchen? Why do your children act a certain way? They will offer their unsolicited opinion. And it's like, you know what? We providing the shade that you are enjoying, and you're going to start questioning us?
Yes.
No. So,
yeah.
So I guess mine was a little different because financially, my mother is fine. It's physically mobility. She needs help being taken care of. And so, but I understand. I mean, I experienced that with my daughter when she moved in. It was like the house got really small because now you have to, because you're living with somebody and they're taking up your space. And, it's a balance that is, you say, I don't really have to do this. I mean, I did this, you could have your own space and do whatever you want. Just leave me alone. So
and the question becomes, well, why am I living like this?
Yes, exactly.
Why have I made these allowances?
Yes.
And it's just Darren, it takes me down a rung. and also
mission focused, and you will stay at your rung.
No, we are absolutely mission focused, but the mission is my wife and me first, my girl second, everything else third. And
it sounds like you don't feel like you're appreciated the way that you.
No,
would
no,
it be different if you felt that way?
It's appreciated because you know what my mom used to say?
No.
She used to say, boy, they ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
Yep.
So I know our situation, and again, we are the backstop. Like you said, we got a crap ton of space, and I need to go to some therapy and deal with this because I'm not going to be happy about it. Again, Darren, I can hold on to this and construct a reason why I'm a 4 myself, but I'm like, okay, let that go. The rest of my life is amazing. But also, Ella, as a woman, you know that when another woman invades your space, especially if it's your mother, she's not gonna like the way you manage the house. She's gonna have an opinion or two. So there's my wife dealing with that side of the angle.
Yeah, well, it's a real issue for many people, and like Ella said, we wish you and the rest of the family all the best with managing that, and we'll all face that issue at some point, related to our parents, should they be blessed enough to live long enough. Father time is undefeated, so they're all going to need help in some way, and so we just pray that it's as easy on all of us as it can be. So, and for you guys as well. So, Ron, why don't you hit us with your parting shot?
So, last episode, one of the episodes in the past, Darren said that he binge watched The Wire. So that was like awesome. And I was in the airport yesterday trying to come home, and there was a YouTube essay on Proposition Joe, one of the characters in The Wire, a really good character and very likable. And the title of the YouTube video is Proposition Joe Was Evil. And I had to watch it, and it's like, you know what? Even though he's likable, he was still a gangster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think that was just something I enjoyed watching that and being reminded that no matter how charismatic people are, that there's still some bad people out there that use their charisma in certain ways. So I put the link in the show notes. So it's a really good essay for those Wire fans.
Yeah. And for those who are, politically engaged or whatever, I think the idea of charisma being the dividing line on whether you like and follow somebody or not, needs to have some guardrails on that. I think is what you're saying. Like, we can be taken in by someone based on charisma, but who they are at core is really what you're engaged with, whether they're charismatic or not. So, so good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, Ella, thank you for joining us today. It's always good, and you're going to be back. This isn't your one and only appearance. We look forward to seeing a lot more of you. So, so we appreciate you joining us. Any final thoughts on your end?
No, I love this. I love the fact that we have men engaging in conversation, be it political, be it whatever it is. It's great to have friends that you can have these conversations with. And so I applaud you, and I am so excited to be a part of it, at least today. So thank you.
All right. And we applaud you.
9 on the Cantrell scale, Ron, right now.
Darren's not going to let that go. I think he feels a little bit persecuted for how he was judged for his level on the ladder. But
I'd like to say something about that, just about that happiness scale. I just think that there's so many different dimensions of our lives, and so you have to happiness is different on every dimension. And then if you kind of add it up and take the average, then that's where you are. But there's some things that I'm really happy about, some things that I'm not happy about, and I think that you just, for me, it's like you just can't have one number. It's a total of all the different things that are important to me. So I'm just gonna kind of throw that out there.
Always important to keep it in perspective. So all right, guys. Well, look, and we've enjoyed this time with you, and we hope that you've enjoyed it with us. So again, we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. So for now, we've got issues, and you don't have to. We'll see you next time.
Bye.